The card declined before I understood why. I froze. I was standing at a grocery store in Brookdale on October 14, holding a box of strawberry candles for my daughter's 9th birthday. The cashier tried the card again, then looked at me with the careful expression people use when they are trying not to embarrass you. My phone buzzed inside my handbag. It was Mark, my husband, and his message contained only one sentence. I locked your card.
A second message arrived before I could answer. Ask before you spend my money. Then my mother-in-law Diane called, and I heard her voice sharpen the moment I answered. Mark works hard, Lily, so don't make him worry about your spending. I looked down at the cart filled with cake mix, paper plates, balloons, and the gifts I had promised my daughter. For 8 years, I had managed our home, our children, and most of the invisible work that kept Mark free to build his company. Yet one declined transaction had suddenly turned me into someone who needed permission to buy birthday candles. I left the card at the register, walked to my car, and sat there with both hands resting on the steering wheel. I could have called Mark and demanded an explanation, but another thought stopped me. 6 months earlier, I had found an old business document in our filing cabinet with my name beside Mark's. I had photographed it because something about the signature page felt important. I didn't understand why then, but I did now. I started the engine and drove straight to the bank. I met Mark in 2017 when his contracting company operated from a tiny rented office. I was working in marketing, and he used to credit me for his professional image. When our first child arrived, I left my job temporarily. Mark promised I could return whenever I wanted. Instead, temporary became 8 years. Then practical advice became rules. Let me deal with the statements. You don't need to understand the business accounts. You're too impulsive with money. I began hearing the word spending whenever I bought groceries, school shoes, or medicine for the children. Diane reinforced him whenever she visited, praising Mark for providing while reminding me that I had chosen to stay home. I swallowed it because I thought keeping peace was part of being a good wife. But last April, I started taking a financial literacy course at the public library on Tuesday evenings. I didn't tell Mark. I began learning how joint accounts worked, what an authorized user could do, and why business ownership documents mattered. Then I found the old paperwork, dated June 3, 2019, from Mark's business credit application. My name appeared beside his as a co-owner of the company. I had forgotten signing it. I was 8 months pregnant, and Mark called it routine. That document became my first clue. The second came in September, a $4,800 transfer to an account ending in 7721. I didn't recognize it. Mark called it a vendor reimbursement. Then he announced his October business trip. On October 13th, he kissed me goodbye and said he'd be back Sunday night. The next morning, I saw his Instagram story. He was standing beside a pool at the Westlake Resort, smiling beside his assistant, Rachel. I didn't call him. Instead, I ordered my daughter's birthday supplies. The card declined. When I called Mark, he didn't even pretend to be surprised. I froze it because you spend without asking. It's for Emma's birthday. Then ask me first. Diane was apparently sitting beside him because her voice came through the speaker. Lily, it's our money. Mark earns it. You contribute by taking care of the house. I stared at the kitchen wall after the call ended. I wanted to scream, but something colder settled. I remembered the document. I remembered the $4,800. And I remembered the way Mark had reacted whenever I asked about money. So I drove to the bank. The relationship manager pulled up my records. Everything connected to the accounts where I have legal access, I said, and I want copies. He didn't ask why. For nearly an hour, I followed the numbers. The $4,800 transfer wasn't a vendor reimbursement. It had gone to an account connected to Diane. Then I found 3 resort charges. October 12, $1,260. October 13, $2,840. October 14, $1,975. There were also restaurant charges, a jewelry store purchase for $3,200, and a hotel payment made 2 weeks earlier. My stomach tightened. But the fourth clue was the one that made my hands go cold. A credit account had been opened in my name on August 22nd. The balance was $11,640. I had never applied for it. The signature looked like mine, but it wasn't. The manager studied the application. "Do you recognize this signature?" "No." He told me to document everything before confronting anyone and helped me open an individual account. I copied every statement I was legally entitled to receive and called an attorney. For the first time in years, I wasn't asking Mark what to do. I was asking someone who represented me. 2 hours after I left the bank, my phone began vibrating. Mark called 7 times in 15 minutes. Then came the messages. "Lily, what did you do? Call me now. You had no right. Fix this before you make it worse." Diane called next. I ignored both of them. That evening, Mark arrived home before I expected him. He walked through the door carrying the same expensive watch he had told me was necessary for business. "What did you do at the bank?" I put the folder on the table. "Why are you so worried?" His expression hardened. "Because you interfered with company finances."
I reviewed records I had a right to see. "You're trying to destroy me." "No," I said. "I'm trying to understand what you were hiding." I opened the folder. "The $4,800 transfer to your mother." He said it was repayment. "The Westlake charges. Business expenses. The jewelry. A gift for a client." Then I placed the credit application in front of him. "This account isn't mine." Mark stopped speaking. I watched his eyes move across the page. For 8 years, I had watched him explain everything away with confidence. That night, he couldn't explain the one document that mattered most. "You don't understand," he finally said. "Then explain it." He looked toward the hallway. Our children were upstairs with the babysitter. His voice dropped. "I was trying to keep the business alive." There it was, the missing piece. Mark's company wasn't as profitable as he had told me. He had been covering personal expenses with company funds, moving money to Diane, and using new credit to keep old obligations from surfacing. "And the resort?" I asked. He didn't answer. I didn't need him to. The Instagram photo had already told me enough about that part. But I wasn't going to let an affair become the center of the story. The money was bigger than Rachel. The deception was bigger than one weekend. My attorney helped me separate what I could protect from what still needed legal review. I didn't empty accounts or take money that wasn't mine. I documented everything and secured my own finances. Mark kept insisting I was overreacting. Then the credit company confirmed that the application required investigation. His confidence changed after that. So did Diane's. For the first time, neither of them told me I was bad with money. They knew I was finally looking at it. Weeks later, I reopened my old marketing portfolio. My first freelance client paid me $600. I stared at the payment notification longer than I should have. $600 wasn't a fortune, but it belonged to me. No permission, no apology, no explanation. Months later, I sat in a small cafe near Emma's school while my children finished their homework. My phone vibrated on the table. Mark. I looked at his name and remembered that grocery store, the silent cashier, the birthday candles, and the message telling me to ask before spending a dime. I silenced the call. Not because I hated him, because I finally understood something. He thought freezing my card would freeze my life. Instead, it forced me to follow the clues he had spent years hiding. And one overlooked document had completed the puzzle. I hadn't lost my power that morning. I had finally found the evidence of where it had been taken. Sometimes revenge isn't destroying the person who hurt you. Sometimes revenge is rebuilding your life so carefully that they no longer have permission to control any part of it.